welcome, Universal Peace Federation. Sheikh Ramzy is a director, and so we're supporting and helping his initiative. And it's a very worthy initiative to help the plight of suffering people. And I really pray for your success, and I will be supporting and helping along the way. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
On the Myanmar situation over a number of years, which I'm trying to, of course, get myself familiar with the situation of Myanmar, because it's since 1948, I believe. You can correct me. He's the director of the democracies. Correct me if I was wrong sometime. And of course, since that time, since General Aung San and when the General Aung San left, and the General Ne Win or something like that, they're repeating, the history repeats itself. Every 5 minutes, they raping my sisters, they burning my nephew, they killing their husbands, and they make them slavery. It is there, is a history. And of course, United Nations said these are the most tortured and most deprived people several years ago. He said, I think it was with Kofi Annan or somebody else said. However, I'm trying to remember what I was going to say. I wrote it, but it was very, very fast and I forgot. Anyway, since that time I'm trying to get it, and of course, some time ago, I want to say what we done here. About 6-7 months ago, maybe more before that, this incident, this big exodus of the rape and the fear and the killing and damage happening, I talked to the Secretary General of the United Nations. I talked to her, and the instructor, I was one of the diplomats. I don't know how they put me there, but of course I was in front row. Otherwise, 1,500 people were there. If it was at the end, you couldn't even hear each other. However, I was in the front, and I said, "It's a genocide." And I told him, "What are you doing about it?" He said, "I don't know." I said, "What are you doing about it? Is it genocide or not?" I said, "I don't know." And I've got a witness here, of course. I'll tell you in a minute. And I said, "This is a genocide. You turn in your face. You turn in your face back like you turn your face back on the Holocaust. It's the second Holocaust happening and you turn in your face." I said, "You have to help them. I said, not a matter of helping, it's a matter of the genocide. What are you going to do?" And of course, she said, "Come and talk," and everything else. Now, I'll make it short. Of course, Diana was there. Diana was one of the audience, I believe, and she approached me and said, "You're right. Let's do it together. Let's do something together. I am a lawyer, I'm a criminal lawyer, I'm a barrister, and I'm going to know the barrister." I said, "No problem, we can do it together." Because many barristers of us done nothing, with all respect. Many brothers and sisters. United Nations hasn't done nothing, several times has been repeated. ICC has done nothing, several repeated. Amnesty International has done nothing, also repeated. What we need to do, we need a 10,000 barristers, all goes and cripple the country. This is the way. Each one take it for himself. Get the one barrister and go there. Every day they are in court. Every day general is in court. And you will finally get it. This is the way which the people done and worked. However, many brothers, like of course Mark is doing an excellent job, and many others, they done. But still our brothers and sisters die. Who is responsible? It's nothing to do with the politics. I'm a theologian, not a politician. Nothing to do with the politics. My sister been raped, gang raped. Her child been thrown in a fire. And I'm giving him a £10, my sister, sorry. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, Inna Allah, of course the brother was saying, Inna Allah ya'mur bil adl wal ihsan. Is that right? Ya'mur bil adl wal ihsan. Almighty God commands you to do justice and ihsan, justice and goodness. We do the goodness, but we do nothing to do with that. Nothing we do this, nothing we do the justice. Nothing to do with justice. And one thing I say, of course, 7 minutes, give them all 7 minutes, otherwise I'll go on and on and on. One thing happened, of course, we pay, no problem. You know, brother knows, of course, I work for the Muslim, Islamic Relief, Muslim Aid, Human Appeal, and millions of pounds I get in the television for them. But why? We get in when is a tsunami. We get in when is the earthquake. We get in when is a disaster. We get in when is a disease and famine. This wasn't a famine. This wasn't a disaster. This was an earthquake. This wasn't a tsunami. They had a life there. They had a livestock there. They feared them. They throw him out, and I am paying the bill. I am paying. Can somebody see the door, please? Somebody, can you open the door, please? I apologize. Somebody is there. Because I've got some guests to come in as well. This is very important, my brothers. Very important. The government threw him out, and I'm paying over more than 100 million. We pay. The Muslim pay. Why? On what situation? Of course, if it's a tsunami, I'll look in my eyes. I give, no problem. But somebody kicking my wife and kicking my sisters and raping my sister and say, oh dear, I'm sorry. Where is the justice to it? Muslim Ummah is a great Muslim, a great Ummah. It's the richest Ummah in the world. It's the strongest Ummah in the world, 2 billion Muslims. But we are divided. I don't want to talk about that. What I want to say, my brothers and sisters, justice, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered you to do justice. Is justice has to be done. Who raped my sister? There is no politics to it, nothing. Who raped? There is somebody raped my sister. There is somebody who sent 1 million people out and they are dying. I was going to go there next week. They say the camp is closed because there's some sort of disease in there. They cannot let. And they're dying by thousands. Who killed them? Who take him out to kill him? It's not enough for the woman which he's been shocked. He's been raped, gang raped. His child been down there, and I'm giving £10 or make him a loot to want to have it release itself, or some water. Do you think she wanted that? She wanted to die. What she wants? Ask him. He says, no food, nothing. I want the justice. I want a justice to see who done it. And if we bring it to justice, it's justice from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Bring it. This is a very important, my brothers and sisters. This is very important to think about it. They've been sent it is a law at the moment. They've been passed a law which all has to come out. All Rohingya. If they want to go back, they have to be a Bangladeshi residents. Otherwise, no come. Therefore, 100,000 will come very soon. Very soon. I say, let's get the perpetrator. As soon as we know the perpetrator, they know a general, whatever, who is that? They know if they're in trouble, they stop killing, they stop raping. At the moment they're telling me, in the camps, they take their cows. They come, a resident come and take cows and a goat. You say anything, you say, oh, sorry. He cannot say anything. What are we doing, brother? Give him temper. Bring the justice of Allah to it. Inna Allah ya'muru bil adli wal ihsan. If you want to do the ihsan, that means you are going against Allah. Inna Allah ya'muru bil adli. And after that, do ihsan. When we get the justice for them, you go ihsan. Therefore, we got a similar of brothers here. They're working at least 50 to 100 hours they work. They haven't got a penny yet. Bastards. They get £1,000 an hour. You know, I want to fight with them in a minute. But of course, £1,000 an hour, they get it. They got to have 100 hours they work there, man. For 3 months, they haven't got a penny. Brother, this is a way. It's a way to do it, We are justice, we are tolerant. We got the lawyers, we are not going to shout and scream, oh, we're going that, we're going that, we're going that. Nothing. Nothing. We have our lawyers. We have our QCs. We have our people. They need you just support them. Help them. Just give a fee, the minimum fee which they need. I wish if Allah was giving to me enough, I would have given it. I wouldn't ask anybody because this is the honored job. I wanted all for myself, but I'm sharing. It's the most honorable job doing for Allah. If you want to think about the 10 pound, 20 pound, or I'm coming and I'm going and I'm that and I'm that, this is you thinking again. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I don't want it to say Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will question you on that. Will question you. You believe me. Inna Allah ya'muru bil 'adli wal ihsan. I put my case, I close my case. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheikh Ramzy. Very powerful.
Thank you to the Universal Peace Federation for having us again. I think this is our third meeting, maybe fourth meeting.
That's right.
Here. But it's, so you may have heard some of the things I've said before, but I know we have some new people here. In regards to the Myanmar situation, I think generally the public cares about what's going on there. I think there is general concern about it. And what people are saying is, well, the perpetrators of what's going on need to be brought to justice. But it's very important when you look at these things, and maybe that's kind of our role here, is to take a bit of a dispassionate step back and say, well, how are you going to bring them to justice? Because people get very excited sometimes and say, well, they must be tried, they must be brought to justice. But what you don't want to do is put the cart before the horse. For example, if someone who we think or you think is liable for some of these international crimes, if they were to travel to Germany tomorrow, would we be able to do anything? Have we collected the evidence to actually do anything about it? We may be very angry about it, but if we turned up in a German court and said, we're very angry about what's happening, we think this person's been involved in the terrible acts allegedly committed in Myanmar, they'd say, well, where's your evidence? How can you prove that? So I think a very important point, it's very important to have the passion of Sheikh Ramzy, and it's very important though to follow things through in such a way to build up the evidence so we can actually take it forward. What we've proposed to do is to set up an inquiry into what's happened in Myanmar. The inquiry will consider evidence from people who've been involved, historical evidence in regards to Rohingya people and their position in the past, and also expert political evidence about how Myanmar works, how the government works there, controls different areas of the military, and how it actually works. Now, what's the point in doing this inquiry? And it's not, there are a few different points to it. One of the main points of this inquiry is at this time, going back to my first point, we need to know, if you want to bring a case against somebody, you need to know who's liable. And you may think, you know, this person's in control of that area, but you need evidence of it. So one of the main things we should be looking at is who had control. And the test for control in international law, it's different from what you think. So there's a legal test we need to look at to see who is actually liable. So that's one reason why an inquiry is something which would be of great use. It's very important for the evidence to be compiled and assessed, because evidence can get lost. So you lose evidence. You can't. If you need to judge what evidence is worth, there's lots of evidence people put out there which doesn't actually prove anything. So you need to test the evidence. What the inquiry would do is test the evidence and say, we found this evidence and it shows this. It shows in the prima facie case that this happened and this person was responsible. And that evidence would be collected and compiled. So in the future, if anyone was interested in what happened in that particular city or what happened in that particular area, who was in control, we've got the evidence. So that brings me on to the next point in regards to international law. International criminal law went through a few changes. Originally, we had, after the Holocaust, Nuremberg Tribunal, and it was kind of based around military-style tribunals. We had a move towards people being tried in domestic courts in Israel, and then a move back towards international tribunals, with International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda, Yugoslavia, the Kosovo Tribunal, which may or may not be set up. So there was a movement back towards international courts. Now there's a movement away from international courts because of the costs and because they're quite slow and cumbersome, back towards domestic courts as the venue, as the scene of international cases. And there are international criminal law cases taking place in Germany, in Sweden, in Mexico, in Brazil. So all around the world, nations are putting into place their obligations to try international crimes. So there is a shift. The shift is back focused on domestic courts. Now what an independent inquiry would do is it would put together that evidence. So if you had somebody who had evidence had been in control of an area where crimes have been committed, and they travel anywhere where you have a system where they can be prosecuted, you can use that evidence, which it might not sound like that much to you now, but if you're in Myanmar and you're a powerful general and you like to go shopping in Dubai, or you like to go to Bangkok on the weekend, the fact that you may be arrested on an international warrant is something which is going to affect the way you behave, and it's something which people might think of in the future. We shouldn't get involved in this. If it affects you, it affects your family. So, number one, setting out who's liable, creating a historical record, which is very important, and also for use in domestic or international tribunals. And I think the information aspect of it should also be emphasised. What we would be doing is, on the website, all the evidence we received and considered, people could go on there and see it. So if people want to know what's happening there, they could go and see witness statements from people. They could see reports from our panel saying, this is what we've found. It could be televised, it could be streamed online. Any hearings we have could be shown. So the education side to it would be fantastic, I think, for young people in this country and all around the world who could log onto the website and see what's happening, and seeing people test the evidence and hear the evidence from people affected. How will it work? I brought you some kind of show and tell. I only saw this about half an hour before I rushed to this meeting. And I had a quick look over it on the tube, but it's an inquiry on crimes against humanity in North Korean political prisons, and it's set up by the International Bar Association. And what they've done is they've considered live evidence, and they've considered written evidence as well. And over a period of around 2 years, they've put together this report. And this report, it's along the lines of what we'd be looking at doing, not exactly the same. But it goes through each crime, it sets out what the legal tests are, it sets out what the evidence is, it sets out who's responsible, and then it comes up with some recommendations at the end, which I think is a good idea. So it's exactly something kind of like this you'd end up with. You'd have your public hearings, hopefully the press would be interested in it, would report on it, it could be web streamed as well, and then you'd end up with a report and recommendations going forward and saying who's responsible. So I think that was very interesting to find that today, and that concentrates on political prisons in North Korea, but it's the same kind of thing that we'd be doing. We accept live evidence, paper evidence. I know there are some people already collecting evidence from the Rohingya people. We've worked with different organisations to bring that evidence into our inquiry. The expert evidence is important as well, historically, politically as well. We set out the law on international responsibility, the law on genocide, crimes against humanity, and set out the evidence, say, well, the evidence shows that there could be a case against this person for these crimes committed in this place. Sheikh Ramzy said, Diana and I have been working on this, we've been working on this case hard, and we've been doing as much as we can. We have a website which is up and ready to be published. It's different from the Myanmar Situation website. In regards to the Myanmar Situation website, which is a fantastic initiative, Sheikh Ramzy, I don't think you spoke about on the website, but this website is very good for fundraising. It shows pictures, it gets people involved in the situation. The inquiry website, to an extent, is a bit more boring. It sets out what we're doing, how we're going to do it, and that kind of thing. So the main website for fundraising purposes is from that side, but our website, which is myanmarinquiry.co.uk, and we will get that up by the end of the week. It's ready to go. I just want to have a quick read through it before it goes public. So everything we do will be on there and accessible to the public. So really, we're ready to go, and it's over to you now.
That's right.
We need the funds to set it up. We need the funds to keep it going, and hopefully you can help us with that. But there are about 3 or 4 different reasons why it's an important thing to do, and I think it will accomplish those goals, and I think we'll be successful for that. And it will be something, I think, that people will copy for different situations. If we do it right, if we do a good job with it, and compile something which is good, groups around the world will see and say, well, why can't people look into our situation and report on our situation? So I think it's something which will be replicated for different human rights situations as well as this one. Thank you.
Yeah, there is a Q&A, of course, after. Yeah, sorry. I'm just barging like anyone. Of course, when the Diana spoke after that, you can question them, what you have to do, because at the end we are talking about how we do in a fundraising, how we can do it. You are here not for just having a little bit of old sandwich, but having how we can help our sisters. 1 million people are think about it, are depend on us, and inshallah, by the grace of Almighty God, we bring them to the justice, court of justice, and of course, question what would you like, and after that we talk about fundraising.
I have only 3 points to make. Michael did an excellent job explaining to you what the purpose of the inquiry and the aim and the objective. My 3 points are, the first one, why are we not going to the ICC? Why are we not bringing a case before the International Criminal Court? And the answer for that is that the international community and the way that the legal system as it is now is not mature to actually allow the International Criminal Court to have jurisdiction over the matter in Myanmar. So therefore the inquiry, it is an option. The second one is, why is the inquiry an option and how powerful is the inquiry itself? The inquiry, as Michael said, will gather evidence and we will examine its credibility, which is a very important foundation in order for us to be able to prosecute the perpetrators of alleged genocides, war crimes and crimes against humanity. The inquiry will have the power to deal with the universal jurisdiction. That means, as he said, with Germany, that we're able to prosecute the perpetrators in different courts. With the reports and with having the reports in place, we're going to be able to do that. The relationship of the inquiry and is how binding it is, that means how strong it is in the international community. It is very strong, and we had a very vivid example right now with the North Korea and all the hard work the International Bar Association made. And of course, these reports will be used in order to open the doors to the ones that they committed those crimes to be prosecuted and to be brought before justice. And that's what we're all here today. And we all have the same aim and objective, to bring the perpetrators of war crimes, crimes against humanity and genocide in the light of justice. That's all I have to say. Thank you.